This one looks short. Yeah, I messed up your workflow. Let me know when we're ready, and we'll start. YouTube stream go. It's going? My screen's sort of blank, but. There you go. Okay, sorry for the slight delay. I've got 9:32, and I will convene the meeting. Today is Tuesday, August the 2nd, 2022. It's 9:32. We're in the boardroom for our first Tuesday of the month morning public meeting. Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Here.
Peter?
Here.
DeCook?
Here. We do have a quorum. If you'd kindly rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Are there any agenda deletions or corrections to be made? Seeing none, our consent agenda today, all items listed hereunder shall be enacted by one motion. A, we have a claims figure of $921,335.28. B, minutes to approve, July 7, 2022 work session, July 14, 2022 work session. C, approve payroll removal, Jalen Ellis, detention officer, sheriff's office, effective July 21, 2022. D, approve payroll removal, Jacob Gardner, equipment operator 1, secondary roads, effective July 22, 2022. E, approve step increase, Andrew Apple, right-of-way foreman, secondary roads, effective July 5, 2022. F, approve step increase, Tom George, maintenance hauling foreman, secondary roads, effective July 8, 2022. G, approve step increase, Randy Spear, motor grader operator 2, secondary roads, effective July 10, 2022. H, approve step increase, Dennis Dollison, motor grader operator 2, secondary roads, effective August 11, 2022. I, approve step increase, Andrew Butler, equipment operator 2, secondary roads, effective August 19, 2022. J, approve step increase, Toby Hill, motor grader operator 2, secondary roads, effective August 26, 2022. K, approve fiscal year 23 wage correction, Devin Wills, equipment operator 1, secondary roads, effective July 1, 2022. L, approve new hire, Preston West, equipment operator 1, secondary roads, effective August 1, 2022. M, approve new hire Kenny Cockane, Equipment Operator 1, Secondary Roads, effective August 8, 2022. N, approve new hire Luke McKinney, Equipment Operator 1, Secondary Roads, effective August 15, 2022. O, approve Class A liquor license for Tiffany Scoville. P, appoint John D. Stansel, MD, to the Warren County Historic Preservation Commission to serve the vacancy to the commission due to resignation. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. Number 2 on our agenda is a public hearing to consider repealing Chapter 9, registration and operation of all-terrain vehicles, ATVs, utility task vehicles, and off-road vehicles, UTVs, of the Warren County Code of Ordinances and adopting new Chapter 9, all-terrain vehicles. I'll make a motion to go into public hearing.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. We are in public hearing. Good morning, Don.
Good morning. All of you may be aware that the state legislature passed a bill that changed where all-terrain vehicles could go within the state of Iowa, including within counties. The governor signed that bill, and it took effect July 1st of this year. We have our own chapter about all-terrain vehicles and where they can be used. That is called Registration and Operation of All-Terrain Vehicles, ATVs, Utility Task Vehicles, and Off-Road Vehicles, UTVs. That's Chapter 9 within our Code of Ordinances. We are out of compliance with our Chapter 9 because we had limited where where the ATVs could go for safety reasons. Because we're out of compliance, I'm proposing to ask that the board rescind the existing and replace it with a new proposed ordinance. Notice has been published in the 3 newspapers of record for the county. Today obviously is the first hearing. I would like the board to consider having a second hearing in case there are people who members of the public who want to come in and discuss this. We simply have to comply with the state law, and that's what this does. We have reviewed it with Sheriff Carrico. He's had an opportunity to at least look at it, and also with Mark Wilson from the Conservation Office has looked at it too, because we are going to ask that the board approve the option to keep them out of county parks, because we don't want them on the land itself. And the state is doing that as well. You can go through a through road that goes through a state park, but they're not allowing them within state parks unless it's an ATV park.
Okay.
So that's what I'm pinning that on. I'm hoping that flies. We won't know until somebody challenges it.
Okay. And I think I'm aware that David Carroll, our engineer.
I'm sorry,
also-
David also weighed in on it.
Yep. That's okay.
Sorry, David. He did too.
I was in the room.
Sorry, David.
Are you taking questions, Don?
I am taking questions.
Wonderful. I agree with your statement that the state law is going to preempt the county ordinance. That's not really debatable. Everyone agrees with that. My question is regarding a second and third reading. If ultimately the state law preempts, which it does, is there a purpose to have a second or third reading? I mean, we can't exactly deviate and do something drastically different or more restrictive than the state law. Am I incorrect in that?
You are not. I just wanted to offer you the opportunity to allow citizens to respond if they didn't realize that this was the first hearing and they didn't know they needed to come in and respond. I've had nobody contact me by email or in writing or in any other manner. So the board can do what it chooses to do. You can waive the second and third reading. My comfort level here is to have you have a second reading, but it's my comfort level. And if you feel confident that you're fine to go ahead, you are. It's just what you want to do.
Okay. And then my second question as a follow-up is the county parks and trails. I agree with you. It would be my strong preference not to have four-wheelers and UTVs in the county parks and trails. What's your take on whether or not that's permissible under the new state law effective July 1?
They are really silent on that. They haven't said, yes, counties, you can do this, but they haven't said, no, counties, you can't do it either, and they are making exceptions. The state is making exceptions to keep them out of the state parks, except for through roads.
What is the opinion of the board regarding the second and third reading and then the one deviation, which looks like county parks? I will say I'm supportive of not having four-wheelers and UTVs. Those are generally hiking parks, and I think you're gonna, I mean, I know Mark doesn't want it, and I'm supportive of not having them there. I mean, technically, any gravel road in the county is going to be fair game for a UTV or an ATV, so trail riding through non-ATV, UTV parks doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, as there's not going to be a few extra 100 miles of roads in which you can ride. So I'm supportive of that. I'm also supportive of waiving second and third, because I guess you can give people the option to come and state their piece, but our hands are sort of tied, so I don't know as though it makes a whole lot of a difference.
I agree. I agree with both those points. I think ATVs can go on the roads in the parks, but not on the grounds outside of the roads. I think that makes perfect sense, and I have no need to have a second or third reading.
Well, I would like to hear from the public, but really it's their legislators that they need to talk to if they don't like this law, because our hands are tied. So I completely understand waiving the second and third reading.
You'll need to go out of public hearing to make your decision.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to weigh in, either online or in the room? Sure. Just kindly state your name and address first, and then.
Sure. My name is Jeff Bergen. I'm a resident of Warren County at 6969 Highway 28, right on the highway south, about 4 miles. I've been an avid ATV recreational user and a proponent of ATV in Iowa for many, many decades. I was initially involved in the initial legislation where we decided that we needed to tax ourselves in order to establish safe and areas to ride in the state of Iowa. And I also took part in the initial purchase of ground, partnering with the state of Iowa and the Attorney General and the DNR in buying the ground at Bluff Creek down by Bussey. And since that one park has opened, it has continued to foster additional parks in the areas. Closest one probably is Bluff Creek, but there's also really nice ones up in Fort Dodge and over in Omaha and up in Waterloo and things like that. So my background is extensive in the ATV environment. I completely understand your position and how your hands are essentially tied by this legislation. This legislation was, just so you're aware, opposed by the Iowa ATV Association. The ATV Association wanted to have corridor trails linking the parks. That's always been a vision, to link the parks together, similar to other states, surrounding states. But the legislation went to opening up to basically any roadway except for divided highways and interstates. And so it's interesting that we're in this position. I understand your position and the need to just simply rescind. So I support that. What I would say is the additional information regarding the parks and things like that. I understand the need to protect those wildlife areas and those parks, But I would also encourage you to look as the use of ATVs matures and becomes more established in our county, that we look for multi-use trail opportunities. Areas like Fingers Lake down in Missouri is a prime example of multi-use. There's a motocross track, ATV, hill climbs, mountain bikers, hikers, they all get along great. And there is not a, this is my trail kind of user group in that area. We need to get to that point where bikers, hikers, equestrians, dirt bikes, ATVs, anyone knows and understands and respects each and every group and can ride along with each other. So I just want to say I understand where you're at, and I understand the wanting to make sure that our parks are protected, but you're only talking about the 1%ers that always exist, that always seem to wreck it for the 99. And I want to apologize for those individuals right now because they will come out of the woodwork. And so just wanted to say that. And also one more parting thought, give some thought to having conversations with your city administrators. Right now, the city of Norwalk is prohibiting any and all ATV traffic in the city limits. And what that does is that shuts off the economic revenues associated with ATVs coming in to the town, getting fuel so they can continue on their journey, buying gas, buying groceries, buying, bite to eat at a restaurant. Those things are needed in order to exist. So look for ways in which we can encourage our cities to create corridors in and out, in egress and ingress into areas where we can at least get a gallon of gas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Appreciate your insight too.
Yeah.
I failed to mention that, but I did want to state for the public that while our county ordinance is very likely going to be rescinded shortly, that doesn't impact our municipalities. It seems like that state law that got changed still leaves cities to determine their own fate with regard to ATVs and UTVs, while not doing that for the counties. So you're going to have a hodgepodge of some are going to say not in a million years. Others, maybe more rural, smaller communities, are going to say we've already been doing this, and it's golf cart palooza down here anyways. Or if you've got a Ranger, go for it. But I do think there's going to be some misconception. I've already read a little bit about it, where people are like, hey, the law changed, and so I'm going to ride my four-wheeler through Norwalk. And I'm like, that's going to go well right up until one of our police officers pulls you over, because it's not permitted there. So Carlisle, Indianola, Norwalk, all the communities are going to have their own determination on their approach to this. But from the county's perspective, we don't have a lot of that wiggle room. It just is what it is. So I appreciate your comment. Good morning.
Marilyn Holderman, 19057 Drake Street, Carlisle. I'm not an avid ATV user. But I have one, yes. And I'm not familiar with this new law. In the past, ag use has been exempt. I have 2 farms that are separated. I have to go on this. Is this new law requiring license for anybody that's out there, or is farm and agriculture uses still exempt?
I'm pretty sure they're still exempt.
The new state law says they're exempt. Agriculture is still exempt.
Well, it's in the DNR booklet. I just looked it up to see, but I didn't know what the new law was. So anyway, I have no comments one way or the other about parks or anything else that's on your side of the ledger. Appreciate the information.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Well, I will say this too. I am proud of the county for working on this. I know some people took time and effort, and it was a collaboration between our engineer, our board, our legal department, our sheriff, and not every county moved in that direction. And I think we did take a measured approach with regard to traffic studies and number of vehicles with a emphasis on safety. And so I know that that work is going to seem for naught. It already technically is, but no, I am proud of the people that worked on that. I mean, we listened to people that said that they were looking for more outdoor activities and wanted to do it right. We even had, was it a small licensure fee? That's probably out too. Of course it is. But Polly sold some stickers and we raised a little revenue on it, and I am proud of that work. But alas, here we are, and so I don't see much other outcome. Anyone else from the public or in the room? Crystal, you mentioned earlier you did want to hear from the public. Do you? I'll defer to you if you. I'm fine going forward, but if we want to set another a second hearing on this, we can. It's just my take is it's
Right.
not going to be determinative of the outcome. That die has been cast.
I think hearing from this gentleman, who I think represents a pretty good representation from the ATV community, I'm going to go ahead and say I agree with waiving the second hearing.
Okay. A last call from the public. Is there anyone online who would like to weigh in? Going, gone. Okay, I'll make a motion to exit our public hearing.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. We're now in regular session. Do we have a motion?
I will make a motion to approve the new Chapter 9. Is that correct? Oh, okay. And let me go back. Hang on, let me find this. Let me get there.
I can
Okay.
do it if you need.
So is it our Chapter 9? Okay, is it 9 through 19 as well, or is that just the new ordinance?
Chapter 9.
Okay,
So it's Chapter 9, and there's the title.
okay. All right, thank you. All right, make a motion to repeal Chapter 9, registration and operation of all-terrain vehicles, ATVs, utility task vehicles, and off-road vehicles, UTVs, Warren County Code of Ordinance, and adoption of the newly proposed Chapter 9 all-terrain vehicles. The application is made by Don. Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion from the board? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. Motion carries. And I'll make a motion to adopt the new Chapter 9 all-terrain vehicles as presented.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Oh, hold on. And waive second and third reading.
Oh, yes.
Do you second that?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Number 3 on the agenda is consider request to be included in the statewide Safe Streets and Roads for All SS4A grant to develop action plans for all 99 counties in Iowa with possible action. Good morning, David.
Thank you.
Morning. So the resolution before you today, to put it simply, is to allow us to develop action plans along with the 99 other counties to be eligible for competitive funding that's available with this bill that's passing. There's been discussion at this phase in the funding. I'd say it's kind of the teaming up phase, so we're all trying to figure out how to put a good application together. So this one is the application along with the county engineers throughout the state. There's been talks about other applications being submitted through your metropolitan planning organizations and regional planning associations. And Aaron's pretty well aware of those talks. Our office's feelings on that is we'd like to join all teams. So I think, if you look at the big picture, you have the counties teaming up, and maybe we're not getting enough rural representation. So if they team up, we're one big, unit going for this grant. And then if you look at the other side of things with the metropolitan planning organizations, it does make funding applications a lot more competitive when you're teaming up with cities and municipalities and doing joint projects. So I guess long story short, our take, this is one avenue we're going to go. And if the MPOs and regional planning affiliations want to submit an application, we will do our best to get on that as well. So.
Is there any cost for joining or financial commitment?
Not at this time. The cost of the action plans at this time will be covered.
Okay. Any other questions for our engineer?
Thank you.
I don't see a lot of downside, so, okay. Thank you, David. I'll make a motion to include Warren County in the statewide Safe Streets and Roads for All action plans. Is that okay?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
Cook.
Aye. Motion carries. Number 4 is consider Iowa DOT agreement number 2023-C-001 for hot mix asphalt HMA resurfacing on State Highway 28, project number STP-028-1-16-C2-91 with possible action.
Okay, so what you have before you have two separate agreements, and the next one's for State Highway 92. And this particular one, as you read, is State Highway 28. These are the asphalt approaches that we like to install on our side roads or gravel roads. They're good for us, they're good for the traveling public, they're good for everyone, not to get into detail on it. The reason we don't just do them willy-nilly is, to mobilize and do one at a time is obviously not cost effective. So when we can do them associated with a project where we can use those economies of scale, we like to do them wherever we can. For maintenance practices, our motor graders aren't pulling out into a state highway to blade the gravel road anymore. They have a 50-foot buffer there to turn around in. Traveling public, it's easier to turn out on an asphalt surface most days than loose rock. Again, just benefits everyone, but the reason we don't do it everywhere is cost. So when you do county highway projects, for instance, overlaying R57, any side road, we do the exact same thing. We're hitting every side road with this 8-inch thick asphalt approach. So with that, I know this has been long-winded, but with this agreement, I would ask that you approve it as written, but striking item M, which is Dubuque Trail. So instead of 13 gravel side roads, we would like the agreement to state 12.
Well,
So we would ask that you approve the agreement as amended with striking item M. And essentially, that is a private trail connected to a state highway, so we typically do not pay for that type of work.
Are there any questions for our engineer? Just have a comment. I do appreciate that you're working with the DOT as they address Highway 28. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I think back to prior projects where it seems to me like the county is trying to work with other partners when you have the machinery there, when you have workers there. It sometimes makes sense to tackle projects while it's there as opposed to rebidding for a later date and bringing everyone back. And so I appreciate that approach. I think Highway 28 is going to look nice when it's completed.
I 100% agree. These big projects, a big chunk of the cost is mobilization, like you said, which is getting all that equipment there. You might bid out these multi-million-dollar projects and 8% of that's mobilization. So it's 100% spot on.
When does the DOT plan on addressing, or when was the work proposed? Time zone.
I think it lets this winter.
And do you have a ballpark cost for the DOT funds that are going into that project from basically Martinsdale to Norwalk?
I don't know the ballpark cost of that without researching that, but if you would like to know that, I can certainly get that information.
It's a big project.
And the answer, it is a winter letting, November 2022 to be exact.
Okay.
Is what they're proposing.
And the county's portion of that farm to market, non-farm to market dollars. Oh, correct?
They're non-farm to market dollars that we attempt to budget for every year.
Okay.
But it's like us scheduling our projects. We don't know if it's going to hit in one fiscal year or the other, so we do our best we can to budget for these, and they give us pretty good notice. It's just the schedule of the actual work changes.
Understood. Those are all my questions, David. Thank you.
So this project isn't in your budget for this year?
No, it would have to be budgeted for this December.
Okay, so you'd plan to put this in your budget for the following fiscal year?
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
And if there's a budget item in there that covers miscellaneous items such as this if something does hit. So, for instance, when we street sweep the plaza, in the hills of Coventry, there's not a specific DOT code to go street sweep something. So there's some contingency in there for things like this. We budgeted so years ago we budgeted for these things in the past, and they just never seem to hit when they say they're going to hit. And so trying to coordinate that drives you crazy. So you assume it's going to hit any time in that fiscal year, and you throw the entire number at it because you can't outguess when the contractor is going to start.
Yeah, you have time on these kinds of projects. They're out there a little ways, so I understand that.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the Iowa DOT agreement number 2023-C-101 for hot mix asphalt.
Striking M.
Yes.
Okay. I'll second. Any discussion from the board? Roll call vote, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
Cook.
Aye. Motion carries.
Okay, so the next item is the same thing. It's just on Highway 92, and our department had no final revisions to this agreement. So with this one, we recommend to approve this agreement as written in its entirety. And Darren, as far as timing with budget too, they don't send us a bill on these things until project's completed, and then, they do their final walkthrough. So there's, it won't be based on the estimate, it'll be based on whatever material quantity they place down. So they have to do all their final paperwork before we essentially get the bill. So I don't see it hitting, I don't see it hitting before July, but
Yeah.
asphalt goes fast too, so.
Make a motion to approve the project number NHSX-092-570-3H91 for Highway 92. With no deletions.
Okay.
Second, is there any comments or discussion? I am pleased that the DOT's, they're doing miles. I'm pleased with that,
They have money.
so that's pleasant. All right, we've got a motion, we've got a second. Roll call vote, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Cook?
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
David.
We'll get your office a revised agreement.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Number 6 is discussion regarding lease termination at 2205 West 2nd Avenue, Indianola, temporary court facility with possible action. Good morning again, Don.
Good morning. The county has received a letter from Jake Doring of Doring Properties LLC. He was just trying to clear up some remaining issues that we need to deal with. And this is for the county lease at 2205 West 2nd Avenue, also known as the court facility. Are the early termination fee due from the county to Doring Properties per the lease agreement totals $204,850. Have you seen a copy of the letter?
It's in our packet.
It is, okay, good. And he's asking, would you like a formal invoice for the fee? The board needs to decide whether they want an invoice, and my recommendation would be paper's always good.
I'd like to see an invoice.
Absolutely. Okay. And then the second paragraph, excuse me, deals with taxes, property taxes. Tenant is not obligated to pay through the landlord any rent other than at accrued prior to the date of early termination. However, provision E of the addendum states, in the event that property taxes exceed $9,000 in a calendar year, tenant shall be responsible for payment of the excess amount. As I'm sure you all are aware, Iowans pay their property taxes in arrears. So we will be responsible to pay the taxes that are due by date on after we've moved out of the building, but we still owe for those taxes. The county still owes per the lease for those taxes, because we occupied and we pay our taxes in arrear. I can go through the dates if that helps. If not, okay.
I got it.
And we don't know exactly what those taxes are going to be yet for the next time period, because that work just isn't finished yet, and it will be. And my suggestion would be that we wait and pay whatever is actually due rather than do an estimate and pay from the estimate.
And it looks like the first, or that March payment was maybe a hot $1,700.
Correct. And that's, I believe, Megan, I think that's already been paid, correct? The 17
09.
from the taxes for Doring?
That's the amount, or
We already made that payment back to them for the night,
for the, yes.
yes.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
And so, what, 18 months in arrears, so in a year or so, we should be approximately done paying
Yes.
that small overage. Okay. Okay, I don't have any questions. Possible action would be what to indicate that we're willing to follow through with addendum E.
You would be agreeing, you would
Requesting it.
take care of the early termination fee of $204,850. That needs to be in your motion. And then that you would pay the taxes owed by the county per the contract, paragraph E, in the addendum.
And Don, it's your legal opinion or the county's legal opinion that both of those two sums are owing?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'll make a motion to request a formal invoice, pay the early termination fee to Doring Properties as set forth in the agreement. And additionally, to pay the overage of excess amount as presented in paragraph E of the addendum, and continuing until the arrearage is satisfied.
That would be property taxes.
Property taxes, yes.
Okay, second.
Any discussion from the board? Roll call vote, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
DeCook?
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Don. Number 7 on our short agenda today is receive and file reports. We have a report from Veterans Affairs. I'll make a motion to receive and file said report.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
DeCook?
Aye. Motion carries. Next up, number 8 is the Supervisors report. Would anyone like to go first?
Sure. Thank you. All right. On Sunday, July 31st, 2022, the U.S. Department of Treasury released new guidance that provides additional flexibility to use ARPA funds to boost supply of affordable housing. Darren, I just wanted you to know that, so I can email you the links if you're interested. Working on the Warren County goal-setting forums, correspondence, and working with the consultant for the upcoming kickoff meeting. Was invited to meet with the engineer and the assistant engineer and a citizen to go over road maintenance. I want to thank our assistant county attorney, the engineer, sheriff, and conservation departments for working on the ATV past and present. Attended closed session twice with the county and one special meeting, as well as invited to a closed session with the Warren County Conservation Board. The Board of Supervisors, Impact Board of Directors meeting, met with the engineer again to discuss upcoming projects and citizen requests, and attended the Milo City Council for a county update.
Thank you, Crystal.
Thank
Derek?
you.
We're just finishing up the punch lists at the Justice Center, so I've been over there frequently. We're also trying to financially close out the project and the discussion of retainage and the process upon which that will be worked through the county. I've sat in on a couple of facility and maintenance meetings to try to get a handle on what the next steps are. There was a small project with dust control around the Balloon Classic and the roads around there. I've also had the opportunity to visit the new dispatch center with fully functioning, by the way, as of last Wednesday. So the 911 group and the sheriff's department and dispatch have been working feverishly to get all the technical equipment over there and get up and running, but that went off pretty well, and it's quite an impressive department and facility, and that's been fun and interesting and challenging to be a part of. I've also attended the work sessions and special meetings, and that's my report.
Thanks, Darren. My report, I attended a HERDA meeting last Thursday, and we'll be working with the HERDA board on an upcoming location for the HERDA contract here in Indianola. So we're going to be looking for some space to park buses and a small space to take a break, warm up in the wintertime, cool off in the summertime, and maybe have some ice water or coffee or whatever. Attended a couple special meetings and a work session. Took multiple constituent calls on a variety of topics. Lakewood being one, and a number of other topics. Conference call with the mayor of Norwalk. Had some ARPA funding timing related questions with respect to release of community funds. Met with HR on a couple different topics. Had some communications with the folks from Fox Ridge Development and some follow-up. Met with the county attorney. I'll note, as stated, the Balloon Classics is going. I think that's a wonderful event for the county. I've seen a lot of very nice photographs. I've not been down there yet, but I hope to stop by sometime today. There's some real talented photographers in this county that seem to capture just stunning views of Warren County with a load of balloons. And so I would encourage people, if they have time or ability, to get down there and check out what's going on. It's a really nice event, and I think the folks that run it do a good job. Lastly, I'll mention that the county fair was a success. Thank you for the folks that stopped out and enjoyed the amenities, and a lot of hard work goes into that by a lot of volunteers and people. And I'm also really impressed with the exhibitors. I think it's just really special that you don't maybe get that in every state, where the rural heritage sort of shines, and even some city folk. I saw some pictures of some people that I did not know that they do animal husbandry, and I saw a dancer gal, friend of ours, family friend, who I did not even know that she shows cattle, but she did quite well. So thanks for all those people that exhibited and came to the fair. I think that was also a success. Good luck to those that are going forward to the state fair. I wish everyone in Warren County the best. Go clean up with the ribbons and the medals. Represent us well. Lastly, we did have an employee review this morning, and I will personally say on the record that I think Michaela is doing a good job. So thank you for your work. I know it's been about 6 or 7 months here at the county, but your work here is very appreciated. With that, we will take public input. Comments today going to be limited to 3 minutes per individual. State your name and address. Board's not going to take any action on the comments due to the requirements of the open meetings law, but may do so in the future, and we have been known to do so in the future. Sometimes we get ideas from those public comments. So if you have anything, please come up and share, or online. Thank you. Nothing in the room today. Is there anyone online who would like to make a comment? I've not been known to beg. So, moving right along, our next meeting is going to be August 16, 2022. This is a 6 p.m. meeting, and the board has continued to offer meetings the first Tuesday in the morning, the third Tuesday in the evening. That is done not because it is convenient for the board members or our staff or the people here, but because we think that some folks are working in the morning and just unable to attend a 9:30 Tuesday morning meeting. And so we do offer that. And so feel free to come out. We'll be here at 6 p.m. on August the 16th. With that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Cook?
Aye, we are adjourned. Thank you all for your time. Have a great week.